What is the Pantone Color of the Year for 2019? I'm going to give you a short history of what it is, why it affects you more than you think, and ways to use it. Please join me on my artistic journey to make the world a better place as I explore creative expression. For those of you who don't know, and art education, probably aren't graphic designers, Pantone is this company who basically is a self-reported authority on color. And they create inks of solid colors. So if you're a graphic designer, you probably are familiar with Pantone, the color authority that it's really hard to describe because you're not usually in contact with them or have much to do with them. So they're a bunch of graphic designer, artists, designers who create professional piles of color and combinations of color to market. And so since about year 2000, they've been making these official colors of the year posts. So these colors of the year are very socially based. Now in 2016 we had the first two colors at the same time. It was a light pink and a light purple. It was really cool. And this Pantone, it's all international. It's really cool how they all work together all over the world. Authorities of color, kind of an arbitrary, abstract thing. So in 2016 they chose two colors, which hadn't been ever heard of before. 2017, because 2016 we'd lost so many really important figures, they chose a really bright color about growing. So this is my version of their 2017 color. It's kind of a very juicy, jungly green. I can't remember exactly what they called it, which shame on me. So this is the 2017 color. Growth. 2018, they chose to go with the LGBTQ, I honestly forget all of those letters. It had to do with gender and identity, and so they picked purple. They picked purple, and you understand how purple is related to the people that identify with all of that. They picked that on purpose to create more awareness for the gender fluidity and the choices and all things like that. So they made a brighter bluer purple than this. This is what my paint is mixing up right here. But to reveal the 2019 Pantone Color of the Year, they have named Living Coral. This little guy right here. This is the 2019 Color of the Year. I am mixing it with my Liquitex Heavy Body paints. It's a very light pink coral, very pink coral. What they were thinking of when they chose this color was how social everything had been and how we're all in it together. That's basically what their thought was about this. It's really cool how they pick these things. There's so much psychology behind the color and their names of it. You can find these in paint swatches. When I worked at a store in 2017, this color showed up in new spray paint cans, and that's kind of a random new color to just show up. You also might remember there was a lot of jungle and Mediterranean themed things that year. This is partially why. Their official color helps to determine designs and color trends for the next entire year. That's how it affects you, and you don't even realize it. If you went to Target or another grocery store looking for pillows or throw things, their trendiest section probably doesn't have one in every single color of the rainbow. They probably have a few things in one of these top accents. There were a lot of very jungly fern patterns then. Purples. I've even seen in the Plein Air and artist magazines that purples in your shadows were becoming a new thing. So I'm very curious on how we're going to do with this coral. This is a kind of a darker coral than what they really have. With acrylics, my paint tends to look kind of chalky when I add too much white. But let me see if I can get a little bit closer to the very, very pink. I will leave a link to the Pantone website so you can explore a little bit more on their choice and see the really vibrant video they have of this fascinating, beautiful color. I'm not a giant fan of pink in general, but I love coral. Just that little kiss of orange to it. So that's the Pantone Color of the Year. They choose one every year. It's kind of fun, and people don't know about it, but it affects them every time they go to the store. Like this. This is one of my bandanas I got from Hobby Lobby. And you do see that coral in it right here, but you see all the other colors that went with it. And I'm going to show you a bit of that today. You may remember a few years ago, mint green made a huge comeback, as well as indigo. Those actually go with this coral color really, really well. So what you've bought in the past couple of years is going to go with this year's color. So don't fear about that. It's kind of cool. I also have a little painting here. Not quite finished, but the winter skies have these bright, beautiful coral red pinks in them, as well as beach sunsets too. So if you're shopping for interior design, interior designers are very well aware of these color trends. They might be looking for that or something to match with it, like a duller blue or these earthy greens. Like I said, I'm not done with this one, so we'll see where that one goes. And I didn't intend it to match the coral, but I just had a winter sunset right there. So I am excited for this coral color. Like I said, it is a really pink version of coral as to compared to what I usually do. And I'm going to make 3 or 4 different combinations of color for how you can use this. Now, I really don't like how there's a gender assigned to a color. There's so much history on why pink and blue are not boys and girls, and it flops back and forth, so please don't stick with one of those. I'm going to show you combinations that might seem a bit more masculine in a way, or more feminine. Maybe you think of softer colors like that. But I really don't like assigning genders to colors. Just play with the color. If you like it, who cares? There are a lot of other cultures that don't have the same language. It's a totally different language in different cultures, like black and white. There's some cultures where white is actually the color of death, not black, because when you die, your body often turns paler, or your bones are white. So they have a different connotation and wear different colors to funerals. The same thing goes with any other color. So I'm just making some little cubes here I'm going to put some colors next to. I'm going to try to make a very neutral one. This is very, very much a skin tone and earth and terracotta color. There are a lot of people that do have this pinkish tone to their skin or have a yellower tone to their skin, no matter how light or dark they are. I'm actually on the yellow side myself. My camera isn't good enough for you to pick that up, of course, even though I'm a very pale Caucasian. Alright, so here's some 4 color combinations we can do. I'm going to clean up a bit. I'll be right back. So first I'm going to show you the very neutral palette of the color combinations right here. This particular color coral works beautifully with grays. Now I'm going to mix a nice mid-tone gray for you right here. When you do mix these together, have one color that is the star of the show. We're kind of thinking that coral is going to be the star of the show right here. And you can see against that neutral gray how incredibly rosy and pink that coral has already turned. A lot of colors are very relative onto what's next to it. So I'm going to put an orange, or an actual more red color, and you're going to see how pink that one is. That one is a red oxide right here. It's a little watered down. And I'm thinking my coral color is really, really pink, so I'm going to change that up to what we've got. We're going to layer up, thank you acrylics. Hopefully you see a bit more orange tinge and you've got this really neutral thing going on right here. Now when I wear corals or match it with anything, I rarely ever go with stark white. I highly recommend doing an off-white for this. I had a skirt that was like that and it was beautiful. Something off-white. And you can see that against the paper that is more off-white. So this is the neutral palette you have. Makeup, skin tones, dirt, mud. We're made of dirt here. Made of clay. You can see a little bit of that darker color right here. And so that's your neutral palette. makeups, it's natural stuff. Clays, terracotta. The coral is a natural thing. It's named after the coral. So I'm going to show you a more masculine type of, maybe even nautical, you could say, because when we think of masculine colors, they're usually grayer and bluer. With this particular color, we're going for an after the storm effect and color with the skies. Alright, I'm adjusting these a little bit. Did I mix it quite right? So you see a very, very pink, light coral color. And you'll see a big difference on the screen when you go to Pantone. So don't shoot me for not mixing exactly the right coral. I actually find theirs a bit too pink. I like mine a little more on the orange side. But the colors you're going to see, it's a nice light pink color. There we go. Touched up my corals. So the masculine one, I have made a very nice light off-white gray with this one. This is the sky after a storm. It's so bright. It's still light, but you can see the huge difference in tone from that one. And what also is going to come in handy in this year are those indigos that you got last year that went well with the purples, that bohemian edge of things. So I'm going to blast that right here. And one reason the indigo works so well is blue and orange are opposites on the color wheel. So things that are opposites often go together, as we know. So there's that beautiful indigo color that you probably already have some things from. The fourth color I'm going to pick from this is the sun poking through that after the storm feeling. This is almost pure Naples yellow, and it adds that extra element of brightness to these combinations. Now with these squares, you see them all equally. You have equal amounts of them. You want one of them to be the star. You really do. And you can make a darker gray with this one. Touch up the sides there. So that's what I would call a nautical, or probably a more masculine themed. It's also a higher contrast. I'm going to make a very nice juicy green one over here. And this is where this color right here can be watered down a little bit with some white into a beautiful mint green. So all that stuff you bought, what was this color again? 2017 with that greens and the ferns. Those are also going to go together very well with your coral. Very natural colors right here. Now this year's purples and all those bright beautiful purples and reds are really close together on the spectrum. So there's a beautiful green. I'm going to give you a darker, juicier, more saturated. I guess I call the juicier greens more saturated. Something nice and dark. So you've got a lot of greens, and I'm actually going to make a nice indigo with this one as well. So most of your colors here are greens and blues, and that actually helps make the coral pop out even more. My indigo is drying up over here. 1 second. I've mixed it from other colors, and that indigo is basically your darkest thing that you've got. When you mix white with that indigo color, I'll show you what you get. Again, it's kind of a denim color when you have a little lighter. And so this coral stuff is going to work great with your blue jeans. How convenient. It's wonderful when these new trends can add more pop to things you already have. I love that part. Alright, what else can we make? I'm going to make a really colorful one right here. It's hard to see them individually as they go, and you could even make that a little lighter. And then again, these are all personal preferences as well. I like the more natural colors to things, so I tend to dull down a lot of my colors. This mint green, I'd actually even make a little lighter. These things are drying a little darker on me right now because I'm not putting full paint. I'm watering it down a bit much. There we go. So this is a very contrasty, but also mostly green and blues, but I still love that. Alright, we've got that color. Now in my test patches, I actually have one more gray in here like this. Adding this color gray to this pile helps a lot. It's adding one more medium value in here. See how that just makes it all come together, that medium value gray. That makes that whole little set. And these are all, they're different flavors using the same thing. You've got the earthy stuff. You've got something that's probably more modern and urban maybe. I remember seeing colors like this and maybe from the 80s, but that's also coming back. This one, it's more jungly, it's more contrasty. What should we do with this one? I've got one more little square left. I might make this one all pinks and purples maybe. And again, it's drying different on me. But you can see all these different shades of coral. I love it. I love a very orangey coral. So theirs is very pink. There's my, I prefer orangey. What should we make with this one? Well, I'm going to put my alizarin crimson next to it. Show a really dark red. Let's just do an analogous where all the colors are next to each other. So that one's nice and bright. There's that one. And we've got the red oxide right here. And I think the last one is going to be a much brighter orange. Just to show you the big differences that all these colors can make together. And even if I add those together, this coral is still shifting around as I mix and put the other colors next to it. A lot of colors are very relative on what you put next to it by itself, and I actually have that trouble doing plein air. Alright, we're going for bright orange right here, I think. Let's get a bright orange. Come on, alizarin crimson. My red is overpowering the yellow I have. What does this do? Very orangey. There we go. Another analogous colors right there. And they're all kind of mid-range. This one's the darkest one currently. Alizarin crimson is very transparent. Let's put another one on top of that. And so you've got a very warm, not quite fire tone compilation right there. So those 4 different patches you could use with the coral coming up. Of these color stuff. Have fun, go out and explore all this awesome, cool color. I'm glad to have a color that can actually help change the world in ways we haven't even seen.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe or leave a comment below about how color has touched your life to help support me in the artist's journey on making the world a better place.